Hello and how's it going? Welcome to this new video. So just keep going with my journey on Symfony 3.4, and today I'll be talking to you about Event Manager, one of the best features I liked about Symfony, that it allows you to execute stuff at any moment you want, whether you relate yourself to the kernel stuff like I don't know, like kernel exception, kernel controller, kernel stuff, or you create your own shit when something happened, when you'd like to submit a message or email or do anything related to your custom action. Okay, so also about that, there's two ways to do that, so I hope that you are listening to me very well. So we have two options where they use what we call event listener or event subscriber, two terms for the same coin actually, with a bit of difference, and in my opinion the event subscriber is much more like universal to use. Let me just stop this because I believe it just slow my video encoding. Anyway, so event subscriber is a bit more universal, as I said, because you define which inside the class the exact event you would like to subscribe to, and the event listener, it's a bit the opposite, because the notion of listener, I believe, hopefully I get the idea correctly. So what I understand that the event subscriber, he get notified. So we are talking about the observable pattern. If you worked with JavaScript stuff, whether Node or front-end framework, there is what we call RxJS, which is based on observables, and he just there and he's waiting for anything to notify him, for any event to happen, that he get notified that that event did happen to execute whatever action. But when we call listeners, when we call listeners, then it's really confusing between the two. But I think listeners, they really, how is it? Because the example that I worked on many of them, that there is an action, for example, happening inside a controller, for example, like submitting a new article. Then we need to execute event dispatch, then to notify the event manager of Symfony. Then the event manager will go to services.yml, then look for the tags that's related to that such event, and dispatch let's say dispatch the event to tell the listeners that specific event did happen. Okay, I think I just lost you here. Let's get into the main subject of the video. So I would like to create an event listener, an event subscriber for the exception. So for example, when we just destroy our application by wrong route or anything else, I would like to subscribe, to listen, to handle that exception another way, using event subscriber and event listener, and hopefully you will see the difference between the two. And yes, so there you go. So we have no root found for that ugly URL I typed seconds ago, and I would like to change this a bit. Okay, so I will start with from scratch, not really from scratch because I already have Symfony running, and I created a class that is actually an event listener, will be, but now it's a simple class that is located under my event listener under the bundle, then under another folder called event listener, and pretty much it. What's it? Okay, there's nothing anyway. Okay, and as I said, I will start by using the event listener. Okay, so for the event listener, we don't really need to implement any class or extend any class. We simply need to have a method inside it. So, oh, you don't see my ID. All right, sorry for that. Okay, So inside this I will create a public public method, not static actually, method, and I'll call it so since we'll be using or listening to a kernel event, so it will be kernel exception, then we have the option to do this on kernel exception. Okay, and this the good things about Symfony that it's really flexible and give you a lot of flexibility anyway. When I just wrote the name of the method this way, then I don't need to define it later, and I'll explain this later. I don't need it to be defined inside the service which method will be executed with that event. So there you go. And this method for sure will, when the exception happens, then we need to pass an exception object to this method. And let me hope, so it will be exception, not sure of the exact class, event class, or it's kind of response, yeah. Okay, that's not a good idea. So get response, yep, there you go, exception. What I said, allow to create a response from a thrown exception. Very well. It's under what? It's under vendor Symfony SC component HTTP kernel. Very well. Okay. Offshore. Let me just name this to exception event, for example. Okay. Then, and inside this dollar exception event, I can get exception get message. Okay, let's suppose we only need to return this. Okay, let's put this inside an XPOX. That's right. And I'll do new for sure, return new response from response, no, I mean capital R, response from the HTTP foundation event list, no, wait a second, response from some HTTP foundation, yes, and I will return that $X. That's it. All good for now, but the next step, it should be working with the service.yml, and I'll come here and create a new service. So I'll call this handle kernel exception, and the name for sure is random. You can just call it whatever you want. Resource, I'll just point it to the class I created, which has exception. What's wrong with me? Exception. Let me just get the name, please. Exception listener. Okay. I have to drag the namespace slash. There you go. Then we need to define tags, and this is really when they happen, when the magic did happen, since we were telling Symfony and exactly the event manager that we have tags with an event like listening to or whatever, how it's called, but we are telling that the event manager to look here and to execute the class that is related to that event. So let's stop talking, just feel like I'm talking shit. And tags here, I will define the name. The name will be kernel, I think lowercase, kernel dot exception. So we have sorry, not exception but event listener, and after that the kernel. Wait, I have to define the event that will be happening, or that will be listening to for sure. So it will be kernel kernel, come on for the sake, kernel.exception. So as you see here, we have a bunch of events that we can listen to that coming directly from the kernel. So you have terminate, response, request, finish, all that stuff, and I'll be picking the exception event that would happen. And as I said, if you remember, I said that was a good to name the method this way. Elsewhere, if I just call like handle except kernel or kernel exception, then I have to add the new attribute to this array or object with this. And since I just name it referring to the kernel exception, so if you just note that I name it my method this way, so it is on kernel camel case and exception camel case 2, then that will be enough for the event manager to know which method to execute from this class, since we did set it the resource pointing to that class. And at this level we should be good to go. So let me just jump back to the browser and refresh the exact same page and see if everything is working fine, you know. Whoops, okay, name prefix must end, okay. Yes sir, okay, there you go. And we should be fine, come on. Name prefix must end with an anti-slash. Name prefix. Okay, I believe this is a cache. So let me just remove this. Okay. What namespace must end with service name which is being imported config.yml resources. Okay, anyway, that doesn't make sense, so let me just ignore that and call this come on. I don't know what the heck is wrong. Exception. Web. Add bundle. Event. So where am I? Under config, so step back. I'll be in the SRC. Yeah, it should not be this way. Let's use a class instead. Oh, sorry, I just confused between the two. And there you go. So I was using the resource attribute to call a namespace, which is wrong. So my mistake. So actually I need to have up. Yeah, there you go. So normally everything should be fine now. And come on. Okay, developing on Windows is really creepy. There's no root. And what about? Okay. So it's how that it's not. What is that? Response. What was that? Oh, this is. Come on, dude. No root found for that. What's wrong with this? Okay, let me just grab a piece of code. Okay, let me see if I can just kill the page. Response from where? Yeah, this is HTTP foundation response. It should be enough. What the heck? I really don't know why it's still. Okay, let's do dollar this dollar, no, not dollar this, but dollar event actually, dollar exception event, and I will stop the propagation. Stop propagation, I believe. Cool. Okay, let's see if it will only show you the error message. Still not. Okay, if exists. Let me just grab a piece of code from this is okay, just exception. Get the exception, there you go. Dollar response, which is a new response, will be equal to new response. Okay, we already imported. What's wrong? Okay, then event set some the method. We need to set this to this. Okay, set response, stop a propagation. And that should be enough to have that message, and it's just broken down on kernel exception. What the heck is that? Yeah, give me response if instance. What's the log? Route uncaught exception. No such route. No. Okay, let me just grab this piece of code that I was testing before this video. Okay, so if I just reload, then I must have that message showing up. So this code is pretty basic, nothing really fancy about it. I'm just getting the event get exception inside this variable, and there you go, and defining a message that will be displayed later, which is this one, my error is blah blah blah. Then in the response I get a new response from the HTTP foundation response. I did set the content. I think this is the key. This is why I did not get my message with the previous code. Oops, it is broken here, and I'm doing some stuff. If it's an instance of HTTP exception interface, I'm doing set status code and replacing the header. Else I just set the status code to 500, and finally I do event just set response to whatever. Let me just something wrong happened. Cool. Let's see if that is a good play. Argument passed must be an instance of Symfony new response. Yes, I just need to do this new response with a capital R and just pass this message, and we should be good to go. There you go. So that was a deviation from the subject of the video, but anyway, I would like sometime to do things a different way than I prepared for them. So by the way, you can just take all this off and just stick with this. Anyway, stop propagation is actually why stop propagation, because at this level, when an exception happened, it's an option, it's a solution, or it's a choice, sorry. So stop propagation will actually stop the propagation and the execution of the coming less priority events, since inside here actually we can also define the priority of this event from 0 to whatever, and as much is bigger, how much is bigger this value, then it's how much late or early. So for example, an event with priority 10 and other one with priority 100, then the 100 priority will be executed first, and so it's like a descendant order. So when I do stop propagation inside any event that happened, then the last priority will not be executed. The last priority event will not be executed. Okay, now let's move to create event listener, and there is nothing big to change from our setup except the class that we were using, yes, will extend this time an event listener. Listener, not event listener. What is the class? Come on. Will extend extend event listener. What is the class? Event listener. I said event listener. We did event listener. Now it's event subscriber. Sorry for that. Subscriber from event, not the test, but event subscriber from Symfony dispatcher. Event subscriber interface. Yep, that one. Yes, this one. Okay, and this interface actually do implement one method, and we need to define it into our class so that things go on properly. And I would like to do it with auto import, but we can get the documentation of it. PHP doc, come on. There you go. So we have return an array of event names the subscriber want to listen to. So as I said, the subscriber is like dependent, so he define which event he would like really to subscribe to. So this method is the way to do that, and it's very simple. So it will return an array with a form that is defined. For instance, we have an array, the event name and the method name. Okay, it's very simple, I think. So the event name is the event I will be waiting for or will be subscribed to, and the name of the method will be the method that will execute when that event happen. Hopefully it's clear. Okay, so there's a good practice on this is to define the event name somewhere else into another class. So some people tend to do like they came into for example the event listeners and create a new PHP class. For example, let's call this I don't know, like event class or event names. Let's suppose it's like that. It's PHP file. Alright, .php. Just forget it. Come on, man. Be helpful. Get away. Event names .php, and inside it will be a very simple PHP file. What? This is dump. This is dump. This cannot be real. Let's just duplicate this and call this event names. Copy this There you go. Okay, anyway, I don't know why did this happen, but I just lost my I just lost the functionality of the IDE, so it will simply define like a static event exception, which will be equal to like kernel dot exception, or underscore, sorry, exception. So this will be the name of the event that will be subscribing to, and the idea is to only or simply provide that class to the service that we can get the name of the event directly from the class. Some good practice. I don't know why .php. Let me create a new PHP file. PHP file. Event names. This is hilarious. All right. Event names. Grab this. Remove it. Put this here. And what? Something is not right. What? Unexpected left single. Sorry. Static $. Cool. And the namespace is okay. Let's get rid of this. Okay. Okay. So we defined that, and at this point we can event here actually. So do this event dot on kernel. What is the word? Sorry, I just need to rename the class to avoid conflict with the other one. Event name, cool. And inside here we do event name. There you go. Then we get that event name or event exception. Okay. Then we will call on kernel exception. Did he import? No, he didn't. That's why we need to provide or to inject the right word, this this class into the service of this to the other service. So to do that, I think we need to use arguments dot, and we need to do an array here, and just need to call that event okay, I just forget the syntax. It's not like that actually, but do add event name. Add OC. Wait, we need to inject. We need to inject that class inside the service. So we need to make it to create a service with that class. Okay. So I will do event names class, for example, and the resource of this, or the class actually, will be event names. There you go. No argument for it, just it. And inside here I will do event names.class. There you go. All good now. Oops, I hopefully don't break things. And like this, this class, who is this one, will be available for later use inside any class I would like to inject it, and Currently it's available for this method, for this class actually to be executed. Okay, so we all good at this point. Let's test our things out. Let's just verify first. So I just defined the class, the argument I'll be using, then the name is kernel event subscriber, then the event itself, and at this point we don't need to set this because the events are defined inside the subscriber itself. Okay, now let's go back to the browser and refresh the page, and hopefully everything will be fine. So it's refreshing, and boom, a use undefined constant kernel exception assumed on kernel exception. This ouch, what's that? Use of undefined on kernel exception. What is that? No, it's not here, but actually here. Yeah, so I just need to put this between these things and refresh the page, and everything is fine normally. No root, ooh, no, should not be that. That didn't happen, that didn't intercept. Get rid of all this. On kernel exception, I subscribe event subscriber interface. I defined handle exception class arguments this, and the name kernel event subscriber. Wrong. What? Let me see. Where is the screen? What about clearing the cache for a second? A lot of time is really wasted with Windows developing environment. Okay, let's go a bit deeper, and I will do die here to see if the event manager is really handling my class. No root found. Okay, let me check. Event dispatcher, and okay. Then we are doing so thing wrong at this stage. Public static get subscribe return an array with the event name and the name of the method, and inside my service I define the tag kernel event subscriber, okay, with a class name. It's weird. It should work. Nothing is wrong at this stage. Class app event listener, this one event, array compose the method name to call on the priority. What about doing a priority stuff here? Okay, let's do a priority, a high priority. I will do an array with the method name first, and the priority, let's set it a bit higher than the others, and hopefully this will take place. It's really slow. Still nothing. Class, event listener, arguments, tags, name, kernel. What's that? Kernel. Wait. Kernel dot or kernel exception. Kernel. I think I misspell the name of the event because nothing is wrong. There you go. So eventually those was kernel dot exception, not underscore exception, and I can just take this off. Okay, let me just resume for this ugly second part. What I did is I updated my class, it became a subscriber, not a listener, with an event subscriber interface, and this interface implement a method get subscribed events. So the name is describing at this point, so it return a list of events that this subscriber is subscribed to. We need only simply to define the name of the event, then return a method and the priority optionally that will be executed when this event did happen. And in the service.yml, I just defined or changed the tags section. It only contained name of the tag, which is kernel event subscriber instead of event listener, and that's it. And in my case, just injected optionally a parameter inside, or let's, in terms of good practice, I defined the name of this event inside another class and just defined it as a service and injected inside my new subscriber. At this point, I think it's clear how to use event listener, event subscriber. For sure, there's a lot more ways to use these things, much more maybe useful stuff to use. You can find more at symfony.com for sure. Thank you for watching and see you in another day with Symfony. Peace.